This is Hanan Omar. I'm from the School of Dentistry, IMU. Today I will be sharing with you some introduction to storyline. So first, let's know what is an articulate storyline 2. So articulate storyline is a window-based application that can be used to create interactive online activities for the students. So what is it? It is a tool to create e-learning interactive material. Why do I use storyline? To have some more personalized learning or individualized learning, so the students can access these material on their own whenever they feel like they want to learn about this topic or this material. So when can I use this, the storyline? Okay, the storyline provides wide variety of uses. It can be used to create instructional guides, assessment, guided tutorials, branching stories, surveys, as well as screen recording. So it depends where and when I want to use this web-based application. So for today's tutorial, I will be talking about branching stories because of the time limitation. But my suggestion to you all is you can download the free trial, which is about 30 days or 1 month. So the best way to learn is to have a hands-on. Use the software, familiarize yourself with the software, and you can see a lot of potentials. So let's first have some background and some differences between PowerPoint and storyline. I think we are all well-versed and familiar with PowerPoint. So why do I need to use storyline and replace it with PowerPoint? So PowerPoint is best used when I have a face-to-face interaction with the students. So the best tool so far is to have a PowerPoint. But if I want more of an online learning and blended learning, or I want the student to access the material whenever they feel like they want to access this material or go through this tutorial, then storyline would be a better tool. The relation between PowerPoint and storyline, I can always start from my PowerPoint and import it to a storyline, and this is recommended to have a foundation for the storyline when you are starting with the storyline. But it is impossible to go the other way around. You cannot change storyline into a PowerPoint. So animation with the PowerPoint, we have a wide range of animations. We have limited number of animations when it comes to the storyline, but as we will see, they are replaced with other things like triggers and timed activities. So we are all familiar with the arrangement of the slides in the PowerPoint. This is how we usually see our slides, and if we want to create some change within that, we will have some hyperlinks between the slides. But when it comes to the storyline, this is how branching a storyline can get. So when do I need that in the practice? So the first is planning and thinking. So storyline is only as good as the idea behind the storyline. So as any tool, it has its limitation and it has advantage and disadvantage. So when I want to use a storyline, I need to have a story in my mind. So in the medical education or health profession education, it's all about stories. Stories of patients we meet, stories of interaction with students, a lot of ethical problems, a lot of dilemmas. So when I think about storyline, I will think of having so many patients, each has a story, or maybe one patient with multiple problems, and each problem will take to a different diagnosis and treatment. So this is how the story branches in the storyline. So if you go to the e-learning page, you will have a page under my courses, which is called Storyline, and then you will find 3 folders there. One is the one that I have handed you earlier, and the other one is a PowerPoint template that we will start our hands-on from. So let me show you the page. So this is the page, and here under the workshop, you will have technology enhanced learning. Actually, these are some reading material about the theory of technology enhanced learning.
They can search, go to my courses and search.
Okay. So can you just, okay.
Just go to my courses. Because I think for Dr. Hanan is her course, that's why easy to find. So if you go home, click on medicine and courses, scroll down and just search Storyline. Okay? Just type in Storyline. Okay. And you will have this course there. Yes, sir. I will cover this too. Anyone have problem?
Okay, we all have paper documents which shows the step-by-step. So this is only a guide to help you to follow the tutorial and the steps for creating an articulate storyline. Okay, before we start, let me show you the project that we aim to create today, the final outcome of the project. So our project today starts with a clinic, and we have 3 patients. So when the student clicks on patient 1, it will take him to a certain patient and certain complication or certain concern. So this patient, for example, is looking for a dental checkup. So if the student wants to know more about this patient, then he can always take the patient to the examination room and start knowing more information about the patient. If he is not interested in handling this sort of case at this point of time, he will be able to go back to the front desk and select another patient. And a 3rd patient as well. So let's say that the student want to proceed with this patient, then he will start and get to know more information about the patient. And if he wants to follow this patient, he will say yes, or if he doesn't want, then he will say no, and he go back to the clinic. This is what I meant by branching stories at this stage. This is only limited by our imagination. A lot of material can be used to create different aspects. It could be dental materials, it could be different therapies, it could be different patients, different ethical situations or dilemmas. So I'm just giving today an example of a clinic with 3 patients, and the student has to follow these patients. So we will start with opening the articulate storyline. And import the PowerPoint which was in the file. So under the course and the reading material, there is a PowerPoint presentation. here, we can see here under the reading, we scroll down, under the technology enhanced learning, there is a folder called Storyline Training, and there is a PowerPoint My Clinic 2. So can we all save this on the desktop? Save this PowerPoint, because this is the starting point for our Articulate storyline. So can we start after this? We will click on Import and import PowerPoint. And we will find our PowerPoint My Clinic 2, and we will click on Open. So we can see the slide, all the slides here, and then we will import. Okay, the home part for the storyline is very similar to the PowerPoint. The only difference is to the right side, we will have a player, preview, and publish. So this is later will control how we manipulate the storyline, how we do the player, and how we preview the project, and how to publish it. When it comes to insert, can we all click on home first? The home. Okay, click on any slide. Click on any slide within the presentation. Okay. Yeah. Okay. When we click on the slide here, we can see home. Home is very similar to the PowerPoint, except for that part where we have the player and the preview and publish. And when we look at the insert, we will find it is divided into two parts. One part is interactive, like we insert pictures, screenshot, shapes, characters, and we can insert videos, audios, as well as the trigger part. So when we go to the story view, you can see that your story view is similar to the PowerPoint, which is going after each other. Now, together, we will change this to a more of a branching story, like the one you can see here in mine. So we can go to the first slide, which is the clinic. And we click on patient number 1 and go to insert and make it a trigger and click on trigger. What does this indicate? Indicates what do you want that happen when the student clicks on this patient. So this is what is meant by the trigger. So I have so many options here. Okay, in this case, let's say that the action that I want to move to another slide, which I have more information about patient 1. So I will click here. There are so many options. I will choose jump to slide. And which slide I'm looking forward to? This is patient 1. And I can see that the green color in this slide, so I will click on this one. So when the student clicks on the patient 1, he will move automatically to that slide which has information about this patient. So I will click here, OK. And then I will go for preview this slide. So can we all do that together? So when I preview this slide and click here on patient, okay, sorry, we need to preview the whole scene, sorry. So we preview this scene, not the slide. So when I click on the patient, it will directly take me to that slide, which has information about this patient. So we can close the preview. Now I want to give the student the option, if he doesn't want to know more about this patient, he can go back to the page where the clinic is or the reception is. So we will go to the slide which has the patient here. And we want to create a trigger that takes the student back to the first page or to the reception. So I will go here under insert, and then I will insert a button. Okay, I will delete the existing one, not to confuse you. Then I will delete this one. Then in this button, I will right click and edit text. I will write back to the reception or to the clinic. I can see here, when I click here, this is on the right-hand side, this is the trigger that I have created. So when I click on that trigger, it will show me what I want to do. So when the student click on that trigger or button, what should happen? So I want this to take the student back to the first page or the clinic page. So I will say jump to slide. Here I will click on jump to slide, and I will go back to the clinic. So you can see here, when the user clicks, jump to slide 1.1, which is the clinic. So again, I will preview this scene to see whether I have achieved what I want. Once you get familiar with the software, this will become very easy. But the key to that is the planning. I should have a very clear scenario. What do I want to achieve? And the more accurate the PowerPoint you have, the easier is to work with the Articulate. So now this is the patient one, and the student wants to go back to the first page to select another patient, so back to the clinic. It will take him back to that page. So now I want to give more information about every patient in the clinic before the student go ahead. So the Articulate storyline not only allows me to create more slides, but allows me to create layers within the slide. What do I mean by layers within the slide? It means when the student click on patient 1, something will happen. The patient picture will show. When he click on patient 2, a new picture will come and some added information. When he click on patient 3, the same thing will happen. So how will I do that? I will go here to the clinic. You can see that site, slide layers, and then here we can see new layer. So I will click on that and create a new layer. I will name this layer like patient 1. So now I can see a layer under the name of patient 1. At this point of time, I have to decide whether the background, the clinic, will appear in that layer or it will disappear. So we will see both options. So if I go to the settings and say hide objects on base layer, so this is how my layer will look for the students. They won't be seeing the background. If I again go to the settings and remove that option, then I will be able to see the clinic. So now I will insert the picture of my patient. So I will go here and go for character, and then I will choose one of the characters. So let's say this lady, and then she's here. So this is the new patient 1. Again, by going to the base layer here, I won't be able to see my patient. But I want to give a link to that patient, or a button that I will click on to see that patient. So as we have done earlier, I will click here on the control and choose a button here, and I will edit text. I will call it patient 1 layer. And under the trigger on the right-hand side, instead of saying jump to a slide, I will say show a layer. And then it will trigger me to decide which layer. I will choose patient 1. And you can see here the picture of the patient. So again, to assess what I have done, I will go to this slide, preview, and click on the patient 1 layer, and I can see the patient that I have put the picture of. So now we are familiar with 2 things: how to create layers within the slide, and how to move from one slide to the other. The next step, if I want to change the state of a patient. So this storyline allows me to identify the character that I want to use and change the expression. So from happy to angry to talking to stressed, worried. So let's see how we can do that. So I will insert here a character. So someone we have not used before. So it could be this one. It's very similar when it comes to cropping, format, design, very similar to the PowerPoint. So let's say this patient here. And if it is selected by the student, he will be happy. If he's not selected by the student, he won't be happy. He will be angry or stressed or worried. So first, I have to create 2 triggers, which is yes and no. So here, control, button 1. Yes. Okay, now we can see here that this is the trigger. Okay, so what do we want this trigger, or what do we want to happen when the student click on that? We don't want to show a layer, and we don't want to jump to a slide. We want to change state of. State of what? Our character, which is here, character 2. To which state? To happy. Okay, so that means when I click yes, this patient or this person will be happy. Can we assess that through the preview? So we can see that the state has changed. So the other trigger, we want to change that state to a different state where he is, when you click no, he is worried or stressed. So the same way, I will go to the right side and click on the trigger. The same character 2, to which state we can have stressed. So again, I will go for the preview. So no, we'll change the state to a stressed. And yes, the patient will become happier. So we have a lot of potential to use different aspects along when we are training the students for communication skills, for managing patient. And there is also softwares which has pictures of real patients. So we can have this, or we can develop our own library of faces and pictures and expressions that can be used in the learning process. So now we are familiar of how the software works, how we can move from one slide to the other, how we can have branching aspects of the story. Now let's say that I want to assess the understanding of the students. I want to create a quiz. So once I have done all these, I want to ask the students about the investigations about this patient. So I will go again to the insert, and then I will click on a new slide, and I will go to the quizzing part. Under quizzing, I have surveys, but we usually, when we have an educational tutorial, we go for graded ones. And we have options of multiple choice, multiple response, a lot of options for the questions. So I will choose here multiple choice. So for the multiple choice, let's say what investigations you So for this patient, I'm asking the students, what are the investigations you are thinking? What are the investigations you are thinking of? So let's say this is 1, and this is investigation 2, this is investigation 3. And the right one is investigation 1. I'll go to here from form view to the slide view. Okay, this is how my slide will look like. What investigations you think of? We can see here that this slide already comes with 2 options and 2 layers already there. We can see the incorrect layer once he clicks on 2 or 3, and the correct layer once he clicks on 1. So I want to modify this. This is what the students will see. You didn't select the correct response. Maybe I can add here because 1 is the right response. So again, I will go and see how the question looks like. Of course, you can add videos to these questions. You can add audio, or you can add any picture to those quiz and questions. So what investigations you think of? So if he click on 3 and submit, it will show him that this is incorrect because 1 is the right response. If he clicks on 1, close preview. If he clicks on 1, it will show him that this is the correct answer. You have many options for the quiz. You can have to change the sequence of 1, 2, 3, or you can have the option to have more feedback about the question by adding more information, or even with the correct response, you can have you have a feedback by adding more options to the layer that has the correct response. So we will develop another question, and we will see how the results will come at the end of the tutorial. Again, a new slide. It could be multiple response. We'll talk about signs and symptoms, and we will say that these are the right ones. So the right ones are 2 and 3, because this is a multiple response question. And the correct equals to 10 points. You can change this. You can have 10 points, 8 points, 7 points, depending on the type of questions you are looking for. If you want to add anything more about the correct response, you can add it here. Or if you want to add audio, you can do that. Again, this is the slide view showing these 3 are right, and this is the only wrong one. So this is if the students select the correct answer. So how do we capture now the results? Tell the students how much he scored in all that. So we will go back to the home page and then insert and go for new slide. But here this time it will be a result slide. So it will show the result of all the items and the quiz that we have created for the student. Graded 1, so it will show the grade. Okay, automatically the system identified the slides which has the quiz. So it identified those 2 slides. One is multiple response and the other is multiple choice. You can set the passing score to 60, 50, and you can give it a time, or you can leave it open for the student to decide how long it will take them. So this is how the slide will show. And this option allows the student to go back and see what are the items that he didn't do well, or he did them wrong. So we can again look at this scene. So these are the 2 questions here. So let's say that he answered 2 here. So you can see here that the result slide is showing that he didn't pass, and then he can review the quiz by seeing which one went wrong. So in order to add more, a little bit of personalized aspect, you can trigger the student at the beginning of the tutorial to write his or her name. And after this, his or her name will appear in wherever you want them to appear, and the results slide, because you can create a certificate that I certify that this student have passed this tutorial successfully. Or you can tell him hi by his name, I'm happy that you are doing this tutorial, or something like that. So how we can do that? It is more of a personalized aspect. We can go back to the clinic page here and click on this control and go to that data entry. We can see that button which has AB. So we click on that and we can say type your name. And we should look at the side here. We can see that this highlighted one shows text entry 4. So that means this name, the name of this cell is text entry number 4. So now, in a second, in another page, let's say this one, I will do the same. Control, I will click on that here. This one is showing me text entry 5. So I will click on that, edit, and change it to 4. So whatever the student will write in the previous slide will come here in this slide. So let's see how this is done. We'll go back here, and then we'll preview the entire, this scene. If we write here, storyline, then we'll go to this one. We find the same thing in this slide, storyline. So if the if the student mention his name, then this name will be appearing wherever you want it to appear within the slides. So it can be in the results slide, or it can be in any other aspect. So we can see now from this side where we have the story view that the story starts from the clinic and branches to 3 patients, and 1 patient branches more to give more idea about investigations and some informations related to that patient. There is no limitation to the branching that you can have. Number of cases, number of investigation, treatments, every drugs, whatever you want to add, it's only based on how you start your project and what do you want to achieve. And within these stories, you can have assessments. So I am sorry because the time is very limited, but I hope that I have given you some idea about the storyline. Let me just quickly show you about how to publish this storyline. So once I'm previewing the entire project and I'm happy with the entire project, I can move to player. So what do I need, then what do I want to publish, and after this I will publish. So in the player, this is how it appears. If I want that menu side, then I will click here and click on the menu. If I don't want it, then it will appear like this for the students. What is the advantage of having the menu or not having the menu? Menu will enable the students to jump and move to whatever they feel like watching or accessing. While not having the menu, that means it is a guided thing. They have to follow the sequence that you have put for them. So this is again based on what you want the students to do. The other option is to have resources on that side or not. These resources, oh, it's not working. Okay, I think you can still hear me. These resources are, you can add some PDF files, link to videos, where the students can access them as part of their learning.
I think the battery.
Battery. I consumed the battery.
Can I have a seat?
So once we are happy with the outcome of our articulate storyline, we can publish it. Hasnain, can you guide them to the publishing part?
Okay.
Okay. So Mr. Hasnain will show you how to publish to our e-learning portal.
Okay, it's very simple actually. If you click on publish, and I would advise, like, before you publish, you should click preview and preview all the scene first, and if it's according to what you plan, and then just proceed, click publish. And once you publish it, you need to know whether you want to publish as a web content or articulate online. They have a LMS or our own LMS like Moodle or Blackboard. So you could actually select this one. Why we need LMS here? If you have a quiz or any content or any information you would like to pass to LMS, so then we have to select LMS. Like if you have a quiz or knowledge check and you want that marks passed to LMS, then you click LMS, and you could actually click CD if you want stand alone. Okay, so let's try. Which one you would like to try? LMS or web based? LMS. Okay. So we'll just select LMS, and if you click LMS, you notice here there is a SCORM. So you could pick. I will suggest like SCORM 1.2. You can select there, and reporting and tracking. That just now I was telling you, you could actually track whatever marks in your quiz inside your storyline. It will be tracked whether students actually completed, pass or fail. So let me show you that. If you click reporting and tracking, and then it will ask you what you would like to report on. Okay, so you see here, so it will actually check the result slide, and if your students got pass or fail, that information will pass to LMS. Okay. Yes. And please make sure you checked include HTML5 output. That will help us, our iOS devices, to actually access this content. Okay, so if you have an Apple device, so that will help to access this. And you have this another option where articulate mobile player for iOS and Android. So that also you can check in and click publish. And after that, I think you need a cup of coffee if you have a long scene. So it will take time to publish. And once it published, then you could actually view. It will come up with so many files, you no need to worry about that. Whatever in that folder of files, you compress it as a zip file, and we will upload. Just come to e-learning and we will upload that. Okay, so let it finish publishing all that, and I will show you how it looks like. Any question? Oh yes, it's there. So once you publish it, actually you can click view project, so it will start launching the project. So we haven't published it online, it's still on our computer. So before we publish, I think I would suggest or highly recommend that you view it, how it looks like. Okay, it may ask you to click on allow block content. Okay, so that's what we created that just now, the contents. Okay. Right, once you are done, then you can close this and click on zip file. So it will zip and compress into one file, and just save it. And this is the important file which actually we will upload to LMS. That we will handle. E-learning staff will help you in that. Okay, that's all. Any question or anything?
Thanks so much. I know that it has a lot of information, but again, my advice to you, download the software and try with it. It has a lot of potential. You can create amazing stories and learning experiences for your students. Thank you.